Sounds like Maduro should have gone into the daycare business. It's the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. Have you been enjoying the news all weekend? I was trying to have like a holiday and just hang out with the kids, but apparently we're just going and arresting world leaders, which I find absolutely hilarious. But this is something that we all saw coming. And look, I'm not trying to like brag and like take a victory lap here, but I just want to go back to the James Show. It's an amazing radio program. This was on the December 23rd edition. I've been trying to tell people this is not about drugs. This is not about oil. Because I suspected this wasn't about drugs when he was bombing drug boats. And the fact that he sees oil tankers now lets you know this isn't about drugs. Why would you seize oil tankers if this is about drugs? But when you look at what is propping up the dictatorship, the socialist dictator hellhole that is the Nicolas Maduro regime, it's two things. Number one, drugs. Number two, oil. Maybe not in that order, but you take these two industries off his hands, he's got nothing. Make no mistake about it. My theory is this is all about regime change. And while I think Venezuela would probably do better if just about anybody else was in charge, I still don't want war with them. The timing on this is interesting. And so that leads you to make some other conclusions. Nicolas Maduro has ticked him off somehow over the last 5 years, in a way he didn't when Donald Trump was president the first time around for the first 4 years. All right, we're back live now. That was from the December 23rd show. I'm Miss Cleo. Call me now for your free reading. Apparently, I can predict the future. Now, a lot of people predicted that. I'm not a genius. But even after this happened, you have some people in the media, and I just licked this up. This is so delicious. Rachel Maddow's over on M-Snow. The night it happened, still has no idea what it could possibly be. I don't know. It's not about drugs. It's not about oil. Dude, he is boxing out the outside world from the Western Hemisphere. It's the Trump corollary to the Monroe Doctrine. I see it. You see it. Wolves see it. He's keeping China and Russia and Cuba from exploiting a failed narco state in Venezuela. Here's Rachel Maddow the night of.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really interested to hear what the president has to say.
Oh, and by the way, she's they connected to her at her house so she wouldn't have to come in on a Saturday. That's her microphone that's terrible, not my recording abilities.
Remarks from the White House that are planned for just a little under an hour from now. Ali, I feel like in your heart of hearts, when you think about what the United States just did, I think there are very few Americans right now who have any idea why the United States did this. If this was about drug trafficking, then why did President Trump just pardon the former president of Honduras, who was convicted of sending hundreds of tons of drugs into the United States? If this was about something about the illegitimacy of Maduro's election, well, that's something that the U.S. is, decrying any other country policing. We just sanctioned Brazil for having tried to protect itself from a coup by its former president, Jair Bolsonaro. I mean, if it's about gangs, we had the president of El Salvador, who is believed by U.S. law enforcement.
Does anybody really think this is about gangs?
To be very linked with the notorious gang MS-13, which has caused incredible damage in the hemisphere, including in the United States. He's invited into the Oval Office, and the president says that he's looking forward to sending homegrown Americans to...
Look, she goes on for another 2 minutes here. She thinks, well, I don't know, maybe it's gangs, or maybe it's drugs, or maybe it's oil. She doesn't get it. When you and I understood this 2 weeks ago, or at least 2 weeks ago, what was the 23rd? Almost 2 weeks ago. And this belies your recent memory, because here is Chuck Schumer in January of 2020 talking about how terrible Venezuela is and Trump should knock him out of power.
He brags about all these things he wants to do or is doing, but his actions belie his words. Maybe the best metaphor was his claim to bring democracy to Venezuela. There was a big policy there. It flopped. If the policy was working, Juan Guaido wouldn't be in the balcony here. He'd be in Venezuela. He'd be sitting in the president's palace, or at least waging a fight to win. He's here. And the president brags about his Venezuela policy? Give us a break. He hasn't brought an end to the Maduro regime. The Maduro regime is more powerful today and more entrenched today than it was when the president began.
So that's a fun little game, isn't it? If Maduro remains in power, Trump's a failure. If Trump goes and knocks Maduro out of power, that's wrong too. Sounds like the guy just can't win. But whether you're for this or against it, everyone has to admit that that is an amazing feat that the military can go in there, get the leader of a foreign country. And this was telegraphed in advance. It's not like we hadn't been sending warships to the area for a few months now. Go in, not lose one life, and take him alive, him and his wife. Just come on, they're in New York pleading not guilty this afternoon in a court of law. We did that. Coming up next, you're going to hear from a retired Navy SEAL, and he's now in the Texas-based Overwatch Mission Critical. And I'll ask him what all's involved in a raid like this. How amazing is it that we didn't lose one soldier, one American life? And what a great movie this is going to make in about 5 years on Netflix. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hello, football fans. James Parker here for the Prize Picks app. And in traditional old fuddy-duddy fantasy sports, well, your season's over when the regular season is over. I remember that. It's over. We have to crown a winner. It's already done. So what do you do for the playoffs? Nothing? No. You download Prize Picks and you fill the void in your soul with getting fantasy sports action even during the playoffs. And it doesn't matter what sport that's in, something that's just endemic to the football experience here. Look, I know the Cowboys aren't in the playoffs, but the Stars are still going. The Mavs are still going. College football playoffs are still going. Sorry about your bad luck there, Texas Tech fans. But you can have fun with all that. Well, look, if you're going to be watching it anyway, you might as well just get a little bit of Prize Picks, add a little bit more fun to it with America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. Take your inside sports knowledge, turn it into money up to 2,000 times your money. And if you're just starting out on Prize Picks, hey, I got good news for you. You can get a $50 in free lineups if you use the promo code WBAP. Download Prize Picks, use promo code WBAP. Get $50 in lineups when you play your first $5 lineup. So add some fun to the playoffs you're already watching with Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Hey there, welcome back to the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker, and of course, the top story today, Maduro was, I guess, arrested. What's the word for it? Kidnapped? Taken prisoner in a military raid in Venezuela. Right before the James Show started, he pleads not guilty in a courthouse in New York City. So this all sounds weird. Like, is he being charged with a civil crime and then we just use the military to go get him? I think is the deal. So the precedent we're looking at is, I guess, Manuel Noriega is the last time we did something like this, or I don't know, maybe I'm forgetting something. But where we just go in and we grab a dude and we take him back and we press charges and we throw him in the prison system. Cracks me up that we have the ability to do that. But I think what's amazing is the actual logistics behind the raid. And so I wanted to have some expertise come in and help me understand what the heck happened. So he's been on the show before, retired Navy SEAL Mike Sarai. Welcome back, Sarah, from Operation Mission Critical. Mike, I don't know if you've had a chance to go in depth on what happened here, but I just can't imagine what all strategically had to go right for this plan to be, I guess, flawless. Because when you don't lose anybody and no one's injured, I guess that's as close to flawless as you can get. But they had to knock out power, they had to knock out communications, they had to knock out the defense capabilities, or if they were going to shoot missiles, or I don't even know. So explain how something like this has to go down, Mike. That's the one that Chuck Norris was in, right? Delta Force? It was. Yeah. Anyway, go ahead. Okay, so I see people speculating. I don't think anybody from the military branch has really gone into detail about this. But when you see the cell phone video of the helicopter strike, one thing you notice is that it looks like all the power's out in the neighborhood. And so I guess we knocked out their power. We must have knocked out their anti-air missiles or something. What all did we have to do to sort of, plow the field before we could even land? Sure. Nothing, right? Cool. Well, listen, we're talking with retired Navy SEAL Mike Sarai. It has to go down in military history because zero loss of life, that doesn't even sound believable. That sounds like a movie where like Arnold Schwarzenegger goes and he rescues Alyssa Milano. What was that? Commando. And just nobody dies except for the bad guys. That I find that almost unbelievable. Right. Well, here's the other wild part, Mike, is the only casualties I've seen reported is 23 Cubans. What a weird sort of Praetorian Guard situation we have there. I had no idea about that. That sounds, I don't know. It really does sound like a movie, Mike. This does not sound real. But tell the people listening, Overwatch Mission Critical, what do they need to know about that? Well, we're honored to talk to a retired Navy SEAL on a day like today. Thank you, Mike Sarai. I always like talking to people who could probably kill me in 5 seconds with a number 2 pencil. That's a fun one. So now we have the strike. We have Maduro. We know what led to it, what happened. What happens next? 800-288-9227. I'll give you my predictions coming up next on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey there, how's it going? It's the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. I am your host, James Parker, on this, what is really the first day of 2026. You didn't accomplish anything these last 4 days, and don't worry, neither did I. I mean, I did a couple live shows, but it was me and like 4 other people listening. And man, all weekend, I couldn't wait to get back into this chair to talk about what happened in Venezuela. But for a little bit of a sort of a primer course, one of the viral videos that was being passed around almost immediately on Saturday night was this clip from the Jack Ryan TV series, or is it a series of movies? Whatever it is. It's the guy who played Jim from The Office, John Krasinski, playing Jack Ryan, and he was explaining why Venezuela was the most dangerous country in the world.
What would you assume is the most major threat on the world stage? Anybody, just call it out. You don't have to raise your hand.
Definitely Russia.
Definitely Russia. That's confident. I like it. Who says Russia? Anybody agree with her? Hand? Okay, great. Who else?
China.
Stop yelling at me, but China is a good answer. Anybody? Who else? China?
North Korea?
North Korea. Any North Korea takers? And Venezuela? Anybody? Nope. Oh, yeah. One guy in the back. A little worried about Venezuela. Everybody's cool with Venezuela? No threat? Okay. Let me ask you this. Which one of these places can claim to have the largest oil deposit on the planet? More than Saudi? More than Iran? Wow. Okay, what about things like gold? More than all the mines in Africa combined? The fact is that Venezuela is arguably the single greatest resource of oil and minerals on the planet. So, why is this country in the midst of one of the greatest humanitarian crises in modern history? Let's meet President Nicolas Reyes. After rising to power on a wave of nationalist pride, in a mere 6 years, this guy has crippled the national economy by half. He has raised the poverty rate by almost 400%. Luckily for the rest of us, he's up for re-election. So, who's running against him? This is Gloria Bonalde. Now, Gloria is a history professor turned activist. She's running against him on a social justice platform and on the strength of, in my humble opinion, just not being. Analyst predictions, as of today, have the chances of Venezuela's total economic collapse at 87%. On the news, they'll call it a crisis. But on the world stage, they'll call it a failed state. If you've never heard that term, other examples of a failed state in recent history are Yemen, Iraq, and Syria. And if that's not bad enough news for you, well, Venezuela is also the only one of these places within 30-minute range from the U.S. of next-gen nuclear missiles. You will not hear about any of this on the news because the biggest players on the world stage do not want you to. To them, unstable governments are nothing more than the greatest of opportunities. So, Russia, China, can never be the most major threat until countries like Venezuela leave the door open to our very own backyard.
There you go. That's a great setup. Of course, the names have been changed to protect the, well, they pleaded not guilty, but otherwise innocent. Pete Hegseth was asked, so who's in charge of Venezuela now?
Well, it means we set the terms. President Trump sets the terms, and ultimately he'll decide what the iterations are of that. But it means the drugs stop flowing. It means the oil that was taken from us is returned ultimately, and that criminals are not sent to the United States. It means that foreign countries don't have a lodgment inside our hemisphere. So ultimately, we're going to control what happens next because of this brave decision. President Trump has shown American leadership, and he'll be able to dictate where we go next.
All right, so we're in charge, but did you hear that one part? Foreign interests don't have what is enlargement? Lodgement? What was the word there? I think he just made up a word, but I think we all understand what he's trying to say.
Criminals are not sent to the United States. Right. It means that foreign countries don't have a lodgement inside our
lodgement inside our hemisphere. So this is what it's about. It's the Monroe Doctrine that says the United States is going to have hegemony over the Western Hemisphere. Y'all can go deal with whatever goofy things y'all have going on the other side of the world. Of course, we do have a bad habit of interfering over there as well. But we're in charge now. So I played for you a couple of segments ago. Rachel Maddow just couldn't figure out why. Why would we do this? Why would we take this Maduro guy I don't get it. It's not about drugs, is it? Well, is it about social justice or racism or what? She can't think outside of the box. Here is a lady on OAN, One American Network, One American News Network. Chanel Ryan. I have no idea who this lady is, but she was being passed around in viral videos this weekend, and she seems to get it. That it's not even about Venezuela. It's about China. It's about Russia. It's about everyone else who's a bad guy who can exploit it. Iran. So she gets it.
Beijing is Venezuela's largest creditor by far. Venezuela has over $60 billion in debt to Beijing since 2007. It pays Beijing back in, you guessed it, oil. Venezuela is economically paralyzed by sanctions. The only country supporting Venezuela meaningfully is Beijing because they're the primary buyers. This forces Venezuela to sell their oil for next to nothing, meaning they'll forever be indebted to Beijing. That's the whole game. That's the way China plays. In May 2025, at the China-CELAC Forum, Beijing gave Venezuela an additional $1 billion in new oil investments, solidifying Venezuela's position as the front lines of the U.S.-China shadow war.
Yeah, that seems to make sense. So this whole Trump-Venezuela thing, it really has a China element to it. She continues on OAN.
Trump is officially 3-0 with China. Here's what nobody's talking about. China had a heavy investment in Iran. Trump neutered them. China had a heavy investment in Gaza. Trump secured a regional firewall. China straightforwardly controlled Venezuela for 2 decades. Trump's moving in and China's blinking for a third time. And that's why everyone is asking the wrong questions when it comes to Venezuela. The cover story is this. Trump's military buildup toward Venezuela is about countering narco-terrorism and targeting drug cartels like Tren de Agua, which are tied to the President Nicolas Maduro's regime. But analysts go a step further and they still miss the mark when they say, well, this is really about regime change. It's neither of these things. I mean, yes, we've got a drug problem, but it's actually ties to a much bigger issue. Trump's Venezuela offensive is much bigger. It's his proxy war against China.
There. See, now how is it that some lady you've never heard of on a network that nobody watches has a better grasp on this than ABC, NBC, CBS, MSNO, CNN? They're like, I just don't know why you would do it. I mean, the racism is the explanation here, so I don't know. It's illegal. Illegal to who? Who's going to come arrest him? What police force? What law is he breaking? What is the law book in? Is it United States law? Is there some international law I'm not aware of? Is it the Geneva Conventions? What is it? Is it Nuremberg Conventions? What do we got going on here? What law is he breaking? Or do you just want to call it illegal? Coming up next, the protesters have been breaking out about this, defending Maduro. Really, just almost anything anti-Trump is what they'll come out and hold a sign for. But you'll hear from a guy who was at the protest that broke out in Dallas here, and there was a few people there. But he'll tell you what he saw next on the James Show. Carlos Tercios on Newstalk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, welcome to the James Show. News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. Your home for Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins. They're on from 11 to 2. Funny guys who keep you informed and have a good time doing it. Top story of the day, still, obviously, Venezuela losing their leader. He gets chucked into a helicopter, flown to New York City, where he just pleaded not guilty to some charges.
New York City!
Now, there was some protests that popped up, and boy, it was so organic and overwhelming, wasn't it? And I'm just kind of being sarcastic there. Carlos Tercios was there at the Dallas, Venezuela protest that popped up over the weekend. This was some audio.
There's only like around 100 to 150 people here at this rally. Not a huge crowd, but as you can see, there's a flag with a hammer and sickle here. We'll see.
All right, so there's a little bit of a turnout there. Now joining us is the guy you just heard from his X feed, Carlos Tercios. Welcome back, sir. So what's with the hammer and sickle flag? No, I love that context. No kings. Well, what about this king? No, we like him. All right, well, so what was on some of the other signs, Carlos? It's so exhausting. It's like the flat earth of economics, the socialist. After just 70 years. All right, my grandfather made it longer than the Soviet Union. Carlos Tercios, do they have anything else planned? I know you have your finger on the pulse of the hyperbolic protester. And where was it? Was it by that McDonald's downtown where they were doing the Palestine protest? Yeah. What else to do with that? For those of you who don't know, in downtown Dallas, there's like McDonald's, and then there's that one big building called One Main Place, and it's sort of between those two properties, like between One Main Place and that federal building. There's just, does it even have a name? What's the name of that park? It's like at Griffith and Maine, whatever that. It's just a rectangle of grass, really. All right. Well, thanks for keeping an eye. Thanks for going out and working on the weekends and getting some good audio for the James Show. I really appreciate your work. Who are you with these days? All right. Well, I appreciate your work, Carlos Tercios. You're a great addition. Thank you, sir. Okay. So coming up next on the James Show is Cuban X. I think they might be. 800-288-9227. This is the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Well, hey there, fellow Texans. Welcome back to the James Show. News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. How amazing is the news that you heard that Maduro, 1 second, he's trashing Trump, saying, come for me. I'm right here in Miraflores. Don't be late. You're a coward. Donald Trump posted the video of Maduro saying that, and then he followed it up with footage from the airstrike that preceded his what do you call that? Kidnapping, arrest, apprehension. I like that one, apprehension.
Venga por mí. Aquí lo espero en Miraflores. No se tarde en llegar, cobarde.
I just got three things to say. God bless our troops. God bless America. And gentlemen, start your engine.
And now you see a bunch of helicopters blowing stuff up. There's all kinds of booms and flashes of light and mushroom clouds in the air. And even the pacifist, near pacifist libertarian in me thinks that's awesome. Even the most beta males, even what would we say, like that guy that called in last week. Remember, Garrett, do you remember the guy that called in last week and he had both of his testicles removed? He had cancer or something, and so he said he had zero testosterone in his blood. That guy even thinks this is awesome, seeing helicopters just blowing stuff up. Because, I'm a guy who doesn't like forever wars and invading other countries, but this really wasn't an invasion. I don't like boots on the ground. Well, this wasn't really boots on the ground. I mean, we had boots on the ground for like 19 minutes, and now we don't. I don't like the idea of our sons and daughters going overseas to die in foreign wars, but we literally had 0 people die. So it's so hard for even me to complain about this, because the one thing I do like is that if anybody's going to have this level of power, the hyperpower of the world, where we can just go take out a head of state and no other country can do that, thank God it's us. Thank God that's the United States. What would happen if that was Russia? What would happen if that was China? What would happen if that was Iran? Exactly. So if there is going to be one hyperpower in the world, we should be very happy that it's us. But I also like the idea of there could just be like a Maduro out there just talking smack, running his mouth against America. You suck, come get us. You're an imperialist. We're not going to do anything. From now, if someone's behind him, if someone's behind one of these world leaders that's yelling, they're going to be like, hush, shut up. You're going to piss off the Americans. Don't say that. Don't say that. Come on. Don't make deals with China. Don't thwart the oil sanctions. Oh, no. See, now you done ticked off the Americans. Here they come. So, thanks. Now we're all dead. You had to run your mouth, talk trash about America, and then things start blowing up. I love that. That is so cool that we can do that. So who's next? I think it might be Cuba. Trump was asked about that on a very loud airplane Saturday night.
Secretary Rubio mentioned Cuba yesterday in his remarks. Does the U.S. have a plan to do something?
Well, Cuba always survived because of Venezuela. Now they won't have that money coming in. They won't have the income coming in. A lot of Cubans were killed yesterday. You know that. A lot of Cubans were killed.
Do you know how many?
The bodyguards. No, they're looking. But there was a lot of death on the other side. No death on our side. But there was a lot of death on the other side, unfortunately. But a lot of Cubans were killed yesterday trying to protect him. One of the things that is happening, and I think you see it all the time, Howard, you've seen it, that Cuba is ready to fall.
Yes.
Cuba looks like it's ready to fall. I don't know if they're going to hold out. But Cuba now has no income. They got all of their income from Venezuela, from the Venezuelan oil. They're not getting any of it. And Cuba literally is ready to fall. And you have a lot of great Cuban Americans that are going to be very happy about this.
To go to, and you were just talking about Cuba and what could come next there. Are you considering U.S. action in Cuba?
We're not going. I think it's just going to fall. I don't think we need any action. It looks like it's going down. It's going down for the count. You ever watch a fight?
Yeah.
They go down for the count. And Cuba looks like it's going down. What do you think, Howard?
It's going down. They've lived off of Venezuela, right? The economics were all Venezuelan, right? That's why you said the protective force of Maduro was Cuban, right? They were Cuban guards, so they were just paying Cuba when that money stops.
Don't hire them in the future.
Yeah, they weren't very good.
People from our country who were forced to come over, we didn't want, they were from Cuba. People from different countries like to stay in those countries, whatever, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. And people want to go back to Cuba, and they want to work in Cuba, but Cuba's going down for the count. Thank you very much, everybody.
All right, so I think Cuba's probably going to go down for the count. Whether or not we have to intervene in there deals heavily with whether or not I approve. But man, it's so hard to disapprove of a guy just going in, getting out a terrible dictator who obviously didn't deserve to be in that seat. But scary part is that could be a lot of countries. However, not those other countries aren't within a 30-minute missile flight of Florida, so that kind of counts for a big deal. Not all of those countries have the world's largest proven oil reserves, which doesn't mean they have the most oil. It's just of all the holes they have poked in the ground, the most oil's under those. But here's Cuban President Miguel Diaz-Canel with his response, and abajo imperialismo means down with imperialism, talking about the United States. And I'm telling you guys, you might just want to shut your mouth for a few minutes. Just look, all you got to do is wait out 3 more years. Then you go run around and say death to America, or America sucks, or America down with America. But Cuban President Miguel Diaz-Canel, you need to be careful.
Abajo el imperialismo.
The Americans are going to hear you. The Americans are, there they are. Oh, great, now we're all dead. Oh, there it goes again. Now you did it. You had it all. Is that coming up next? 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. The testicle dude's calling in. Harry, New Jersey, you're calling back. I'm so glad you called. Did you hear me talking about you?
I sure did.
All right. And your thoughts on the raid?
Well, you're absolutely right. I think it was a wonderful thing. And it was.
That's so cool that you called in, Harry.
I woke up that morning and I opened my WBAP app and looked at the news there, and I was just overjoyed. It's been long overdue for that guy to be taken out. And it is just breathtakingly wonderful how flawlessly the raid went off, because I'm old, and I watched the failed raid on Iran during the Carter administration.
Oh, when the helicopters crashed. I know, how embarrassing. I'm glad that was before my time.
Yeah, and I just watched a lot of failed raids over time, and it's just so beautiful to see this, the way that this was just so expertly pulled off.
Well, I'm so glad you're listening. You took the time to call in. It means a lot to me. Thank you very much. That's No Ball Harry in New Jersey. Coming up after I talk to Lieutenant Colonel Alan West, I'm going to play you some protesters who have even less testosterone than Harry, and he's at 0. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I still think Maduro should have opened a daycare. This is the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. Of course, top story, the raid in Venezuela. Maduro's pleading not guilty in a New York City court right now. And no, he is not being sent to the same prison as Puff Daddy. Because ironically enough, in today's sign that we're all just plugged into the Matrix and this is a simulation. Remember, Puff Daddy is at a prison, and I kid you not, don't call the FCC. This is what it's called. He's at Fort Dix, D-I-X. So don't at me. Don't email my program director trying to get me fired today. But my next guest, he must be just glowing with pride because he's a vet, Lieutenant Colonel Alan West, coming back on the James Show. How cool is this raid? I mean, I don't care how pro or anti-American you are. That's cool. Right? Oh, I heard it was 23 Cubans had died. How weird is it that only Cubans died? There wasn't one Venezuelan that got caught in the wrong hallway? So how does this compare to the other great raid that we had with no Americans dying, with the guy we wanted apprehended, the Bin Laden raid? Now, I think this one's a little more different. Number one, we had to get him alive. Number two, he's like in the middle of a military base and expecting us to come. Bin Laden had no idea it was coming. So how do you compare these two? Mm-hmm. Well, I hear people say that this is illegal, Lieutenant Colonel Alan West. Illegal under whose law book? What are they even talking about? It's bad. To the shore of Tripoli. Yeah. So, Lieutenant Colonel Alan West, the Noriega comparison was next on my notes, and I was going to add in that we actually lost quite a few soldiers in that effort. So, That's kind of the closest president we have in my lifetime, but this one seems to have gone flawless. Well, I think the one thing I like about this raid is now there's closure on the debate that had been happening the last couple of months, because I was saying on the James show that the boat strikes were not about drugs. The oil tankers were not about oil. This was about regime change. This was stopping a runaway dictator who was making some bad friends with some bad people. And I think we were proven right. Lieutenant Colonel Alan West, what do you think about Cuba falling? Trump said they're probably going to be next, but we won't even have to intervene in that one. It's just going to happen on its own. All right, I love it. Thank you very much for the time. This is Lieutenant Colonel Alan West. What can I promote for you today? Are you doing ACLJ? What is that one? Yeah. That's a great reminder, too. Thanks again. All right, Lieutenant Colonel Alan West, appreciate it, sir. Coming up next, you're going to hear some of the back and forth between people who think this was a good idea and people who think this was a bad idea, and people who like to turn on their phone and document their mental breakdowns for all of social media to see. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. So the reaction to the raid in Venezuela, where we took Nicolas Maduro from Venezuela to New York, where he's just pled not guilty to a bunch of drug and racketeering and human trafficking charges. Some people don't like what they hear. In fact, there was some protesters in Portland chanting "Free Maduro." Yeah, that's great, Portland. That's great. This is what you do with your weekend. Again, even if you feel that way, like that's how you spend your time. You didn't, because like I had to go to a volleyball tournament for my day yesterday. It's far more important than walking down the street screaming my politics. Like part of me's not, I'm not even upset that you disagree with me. I'm just upset that you think going down the street screaming your politics is somehow a good thing. Who does that? I have liberal friends. They don't do that. Who are these people? So you heard from them a little bit better of an explanation here. This is, I don't know what his name is, but he was being passed around. His video is being passed around. I've titled him, though, my audio file, The Flamboyant Venezuelan.
Venezuela, Venezuelan. People are criticizing Trump for what he did in Venezuela. They say he bombed and kidnapped our president. No. Let me be clear. That man was never our president. He's a dictator. We didn't vote for him. Our elections were stolen. And when we protested, our kids were sent to prison. Minors were tortured. Girls were forced to prostitute themselves in prisons just to get food, to get a piece of bread. And where were all of you then? Where were all of you, liberals? Where were all of you? Where were all of you? You said nothing. You did nothing. But now you suddenly care about international law? I mean, now you all talk about human rights? Maduro didn't lead Venezuela. He kidnapped an entire country. So, no, Trump didn't kidnap anyone. No, he did not. He removed our kidnapper. And for that, we're thankful. You can divide politics all you want, but don't tell Venezuelans, do not tell Venezuelans how to feel about being free from a dictatorship.
Yeah, so there's also the converse to that. There's a lot of people, you can find them online. They're not just running around in the street screaming that they're against this. They're trying to put out thoughtful explanations on why they think this is a bad move. However, they just take it too far. Listen to this. There was a guy who went out to one of the protests this weekend, and I believe this was in New York City, so that probably adds a little to the flavor of what you're about to hear, but
New York City.
They were saying they would trade Trump for Maduro.
Would you trade Trump for Maduro?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think Trump. I think Maduro was democratically elected.
Probably, yeah. Sure.
More than likely, yes, of course.
If there's a Nicolas Maduro out here who's going to bring us to revolution, I will support that movement.
I would rather have a bus driver in charge than a billionaire, okay? Let's put it that way.
Nicolas Maduro could come and be our president? Yeah. Oh, any day. Any day. Look, all the check marks are there. He's not white. Okay, he's a minority. Okay. He looks a little too much like Saddam Hussein, though.
Which a lot of people were pointing that out. He does look a lot like Saddam Hussein, and what the heck is up with that? Here's another viral video of an explanation on why Maduro was terrible.
White liberals in America are complaining about Nicolas Maduro, while Venezolanos in Venezuela are out celebrating that their dictator is gone. If this doesn't tell you how evil and disturbed white liberals in America are, I don't know what will. They're willing to allow an entire country to be exploited as long as it fits their political agenda and goes against Trump. Think about that. Nicolas Maduro publicly rigged elections, killed his own people, had actual re-education camps, made anybody who opposed him disappear. And this is who they're defending now.
The bad part about this is this ideology that we've all recognized has taken the most wealthy Latin American country and driven it into abject poverty, where they've already eaten all the zoo animals and they're down to their pets at this point. There's people who just voted for this in New York City. Ironically, where the guy's being taken and was arraigned earlier today. He pled not guilty, by the way. Here's Mamdani, the new socialist mayor of New York City, saying Trump's capture of Maduro is illegal, I guess.
I called the president and spoke with him directly to register my opposition to this act and to make clear that it was an opposition based on being opposed to a pursuit of regime change, to the violation of federal and international law, and a desire to see that be consistent each and every day.
Federal international law? That's not a thing. First, those are conflicting terms. Is it federal law or is it international law? And if you're talking about like international law, are you talking about the Geneva Conventions, the International Criminal Court? What law? Go cite the law. What police officer is going to come put handcuffs on Donald Trump? I guess you just have to say it's illegal, even though there's not like a supranational governing body. That's what a sovereign state is. It means there's no one above us. It means there's no one can come in and tell us, well, we don't think what your guy's doing is right here, so we're just going to take him in. No, actually, the supernatural law that supersedes all sovereign nations is, can you come take our president? Because we just took yours. Can you? Oh, you can't? Well, then you don't really have any jurisdiction over us. Because what it really comes down to, at all points in human history, not just our time, but of all time, it all comes down to who can beat who up, who's more powerful militarily, who has the ability to do that, who can afford to do that, who has the technology to do that. That's all that matters. If you're the biggest, baddest guy on the block, if you're the biggest, baddest pit bull on your block, you don't care what all the chihuahuas are saying. The chihuahuas can say, oh, that's illegal. What do you say back to it? Do something. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Coming up next, we're going to talk about the finally painful end of the Dallas Cowboy season with John Ingham from the WBAP Weekend Morning Show. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. All right, well, the silly Cowboy season's finally over. Let's take a break from the Venezuela talk to check in with the most valuable sports franchise on planet Earth, Dallas Cowboys. Hey, John Ingham, how you doing? You've been my guy giving me the assist on Cowboys coverage, and it has been an absolutely dismal year. Yeah, well, I would say more downs than ups. Is that rushing or both? And receiving? Just wow. Wow. Bro, 30 points a game. That's like junior high football stats. Seriously, I was on the B team in 8th grade. That we were probably giving up 30 points a game. Well, what does this say about our draft pick? Do we at least get a good draft pick out of this terrible year? It's pretty good. Didn't we get one from Green Bay? Wait, they're in the playoffs though, aren't they? Well, I hope they fail. For whom does he play? Okay. Well, didn't we get Roy Williams really high 20 years ago? So, yeah, that's kind of the exception that proves the rule. All right, good point. Yeah, that sounds about right. All right, we're talking with John Ingham from the WBAP weekends. Now, our neighbors down 45 in Houston made the playoffs. Are they going to do anything? Or are they? The AFC Championship game. Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs with Pittsburgh. That's funny. Okay, so what does the rest of the NFL postseason look like? Do you have an odds-on favorite? It's weird without KC in there. When did they get so good? All right. So if you had to put $20 on who wins the Super Bowl, who do you put it on? You got it. Well, when you say tell me who's not going to be hurt, I would say Jalen Hurts. Huh? You see what I did there? It's like a dad joke. God, I know, but look, I hate the Eagles. I get it. I'm a Cowboys fan. But it's hard to not like the Jalen Hurts story. You know, after he got replaced in Alabama in the championship game at halftime, and now he has to face this guy in the NFL. Oh, man. And then he went to Oklahoma and almost did amazing things there. I know. It's like he's nice in interviews and everything, but it makes me feel gross to say nice things about a Philadelphia Eagle. All right, John Ingham, thanks for the assist on the Cowboys, and we just won't talk about them again until what? Maybe the draft. All right. Thank you very much, John Ingham. You can hear him on weekdays. Of course, he does the news, and you hear him on the James Show every once in a while. Coming up next, I'm going to cram two stories into the next segment. J.D. Vance's house was attacked, and Tim Walz says he's not going to run for re-election as governor of Minnesota after saying he would. There is a lot of speculation about both. You'll hear next. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM, WBAP. Well, hey there, fellow Texans. Welcome back to the James Show. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. So over the break there, something just dawned on me because I thought about him this weekend, but I was I had a really busy weekend. I'll just tell you that. But a couple of my good friends from college, when I went to Bug Tussle Baptist University, they're from Venezuela. And I was thinking, oh, man, I bet you they're real excited about this because I still follow them on Facebook. And I mean, we're not friends like we go hang out and have beers, but I'd be happy to see them right now. And I thought, what if I just go check and see if they've said anything? And one of them put up a great post. And so I shared it up on my Facebook page and on the WBAP Facebook page. I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's super long. I think you would like to read it. So if you're already on Facebook, I know that. Find WBAP on Facebook. And I literally just posted it at like 4:05. So like a minute ago. But there's a couple other things going on in the news that I think is kind of an incredible story. Number one, did you hear J.D. Vance's home was attacked?
At the Cincinnati home of Vice President J.D. Vance, federal officials confirm one person is in custody after an incident at that home. Authorities say the suspect did not get inside, but video from our ABC affiliate there shows damage to the windows at that residence. The vice president and his family were not home at the time. We are working to learn more information and will bring you updates both here on WFAA Plus and our website, WFAA.
Yeah, that was from WFAA, obviously. I guess it was another example of white rural rage, huh, guys? On one hand, you'd think this would be bigger news. On the other hand, there's a lot more important things going on than a few windows being broken. But in this setup, I'm not going to pay much attention to it because this doesn't freak me out like the Antifa attacks that are coordinated, like the Fort Worth bombing attack that was kind of coordinated, like the Antifa members and 9 of them got together and decided they were going to try and kill some law enforcement officers at the Alvarado ICE facility. This seems to be, it's a guy with the hammer. What's he really going to do? I mean, Nancy Pelosi's husband aside, and I don't mean that as a joke. I mean, seriously, that was just a crazy guy who was probably hearing voices and psychotic. That might be the same thing. But it is a weird story. It doesn't happen every day that the vice president's home gets attacked with a hammer. But he wasn't even in the house at the time. There were Secret Service officers who I guess just house sit while he's gone, which is nice. Because you have someone to let the dogs out. But you go break some windows, Secret Service, the only people there, Secret Service, your little window breaking escapade's not going to last very long. Now, this next story kind of has the same weird interest, but this one actually, there's a lot to go with this one. Fox News.
Tim Walz will not seek re-election as governor, and what a fall from grace this has been for him. But after reportedly billions of dollars have been stolen from taxpayers by way of the state of Minnesota, Tim Walz says he will not seek a third term. What a remarkable 2 years in the national spotlight has been for him, Dana.
Well, and you know what? The context on that is pretty cool because that's what I was thinking. Is that 2 years ago? I guess it was a year and a half ago. This was the guy that was on the ticket to be your next vice president. He was just one election away from being the second most powerful man on planet Earth. Now he doesn't even seem fit to run for a third term as the governor of a mid-sized state. What the heck? That is a whole fall from grace. Well, what happened in the meantime? You know what happened in the meantime? The Somali fraud thing. So the Somali fraud thing hasn't been enough to tump this guy's political career on its own, which you should be speculating. You're a critical thinker. Go to the next step. There's more we don't know about. That's probably going to come out. Amy Klobuchar for governor.com was bought before he made the announcement. So apparently there was some strategy steering committee meeting somewhere where he laid his cards on the table. They're like, well, then you're going to have to step aside sooner rather than later because we learned our lesson with Kamala Harris. If you don't get him out sooner rather than later, you're just hamstringing your own chances to win. And this is going to be pretty interesting because I believe it's later this year. Minnesota's going to get the vote on a new governor. Are they going to remain Democrat? Are they going to curtail the fraud that's been going on, or is there going to be ballot box stuffing? Is there going to be, because that's been a weird place for elections. Remember the Al Franken election, where on the night of voting, we don't have an answer. It's so close, we have to do a recount. And then different workers kept finding, oh, well, look, there's 10,000 ballots in this guy's trunk. This poll worker just forgot to take this box out. Whoopsie. So 2 days later, they found more, and then they found some more, and they just kept finding votes until eventually Al Franken won. Yeah, so don't be surprised about the weirdness that comes out of there. But they have something else on Tim Walz. And this all stems from the viral video that more people watched than watched the Super Bowl last February. And a governor was taken out by two guys, Nick and Dave. Nick had like what looked to be a $36 Bluetooth microphone and an iPhone. Little bit of research, little bit of paperwork, printing it out, going to 30 places in a 6-block radius. That dude just took out a governor. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Coming up next, more discussion on the capture of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro with Jim Varney from Real Clear Politics. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hello, homeowners in North Texas. James Parker here for Rhino Shield. Your New Year's resolution for your home is to get Rhino Shield. You know why? Your home's embarrassed that the paint is cracking and flaking. You can kind of see it curling up in the edges there and up in the gables, kind of under the soffit vent. You can see like a little bit of crack and a little bit of peeling. It looks terrible. Your house is embarrassed. It's like having to go to school when all your kids are wearing Nikes and Air Jordans and you're showing up in Fila's. That's what it feels like to your house. So help out your house. Get Rhino Shield. It is a space-age technology that just does what paint can't. First thing it does, no cracking, no flaking, no peeling. How does it do that, Parker? Well, it expands when your house gets hot. It contracts when it gets cold. As cold as it's going to get here in Texas. But that's why it breathes with your home. But it also does other things paint can't. It blocks UV sun rays. It lowers energy costs with an insulating factor. It's 8 to 10 times thicker than paint, but it does not change the surface texture. So you'll still have that sweet brick or that wood grain or that stucco or adobe or whatever you got going back there. So it looks better, it performs better, and it lasts longer. You're crazy to not do it. So go ahead, go to rhinoshielddfw.com, get Gary to come out there. He'll show you how the technology works, the cool little primer coat, and then the nanoparticle ceramic coating like they use on the space shuttle. And then from there, you can mention the James Show and get a 20% discount. And if it's still tough for you financially, we can get you some financing there. So you can just pay like $160 a month instead of coming out of pocket up front. So there's no excuse to not get your house what it really wants this year. Go to rhinoshielddfw.com. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820-93.3 FM WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. I think this montage nicely sums up our top story of the day, Nicolas Maduro being whisked out of Venezuela to New York.
Come and get me. Nicolas Maduro will wait right here in Miraflores. Don't take too long. Coward.
The Biden administration made a deal with Maduro. No one talks about this. Maduro asked that his nephews, convicted drug traffickers, be released from U.S. prisons. He asked that his chief money launderer, his money man, his bag man, be released from U.S. custody before he stood trial. In exchange, he promised to hold free and fair elections. He got the nephews back, the drug dealers. He got the bag man back, and he never did the free and fair elections. They stole the elections.
President Trump just announced on social media that Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro has been captured and flown out of the country.
The 47th President of the United States is not a game player. When he tells you that he's going to do something, when tells you he's going to address a problem, he means it. This is a president of action. Like, I don't understand yet how they haven't figured this out. And now, if you don't know, now you know.
All right, my next guest, James Varney from Real Clear Politics. First, how shocked are you that we can just go in, get the head of state of a foreign country, leave, and bring him back to New York City? 0 deaths on our part, and the rest of the world's not going to do a damn thing. Varney, I don't even see anybody saying, well, we're going to sanction the United States. No one's doing squat but words. Well, Varney, you say that, and I agree with you, but these people in Portland don't. Listen. They want to do you free. They don't agree with it. But so not everybody agrees, Varnes. Well, the No Kings protesters who get upset when we depose a king. Yeah. Yeah. Well, the thing I'm looking at next is if we can do this to Venezuela, we could do this to other countries. Who's next? Trump has already hinted that Cuba might fall next, although he says that we probably won't have to intervene at all. It'll just fall on its own. And then he also said today that the Cuba president's a sick man who's probably not going to last very long. What about Colombia? Well, I also, excuse me for putting on my silly libertarian hat right now. I just don't want people to get too excited that this is going to put a dent in the drug war or we're saving American lives from fentanyl overdoses or whatever, because it doesn't matter. Whenever we take these guys out, whether it's Pablo Escobar or Manuel Noriega or El Chapo, Hunter Biden's still smoking crack tonight. Come on now, I can't go steal some oil. Well, I always like the they're just going in to steal the oil bit because when we went into Iraq, did you get any oil out of that? I didn't get any free oil. Did anybody get any free oil out of Iraq, or did that end up costing us a bunch of money? Well, I never smoked, so I don't know if I needed a refund. Oh, that's a good point. Yeah. Not. Yeah, well, then let's look on historic precedent. After we went and knocked Manuel Noriega out of Panama, how did that work out? Have we had any problems out of Panama? Do they have some awful guy that's been running the place since we left, or did that one work out okay? Well, then the converse of that would be Afghanistan. We just turned that back over to the Taliban. That didn't really work out so well. Well, you got anything new at Real Clear Politics, or they fire you yet? Right. Oh, I love that story. Yeah. All right. Well, now that I'm out of my holiday fog, I'll go check it out. Thank you very much for your time. Good to talk to you. All right. Happy New Year. That's James Varney, Real Clear Politics, Real Clear Investigations.com. Coming up next on The James Show, Dead or Alive. If you want to try and win 2 tickets to the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo Tournament, go ahead and call in right now, 800-288-9227. Of course, it'll get you same-day general admission to the Stock Show grounds. 800-288-9227 in honor of Venezuela. Today's category is going to be Latino Americans. Dead or Alive next on News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. What's up? Time for Dead or Alive on the James Show. Speaking of death metal, I guess. Today's category on Dead or Alive is Latinos. Most specifically Latino Americans, but some of these people weren't actually born in America, so I don't want to run afoul of all the emails that correctersons. But for today, the gift, the prize, 2 rodeo tickets to the 2026 Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo. You can go see the tournament, and you get same-day general admission to the Stock Show grounds. You can go through the booths, and if it's on one of the days when I'm broadcasting there, you can come by, say hi, and judge me based on my appearance. But now let's hit it, Dead or Alive. Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Jovi. And thank you. On today's episode of Dead or Alive, this is the James Show game show where I'm going to list 10 celebrities. All you have to do is tell me if they're dead or alive. James, that sounds easy. Oh, it is. It is. Let's go to the... Don't even bother calling. Phones are full. Let's start... I like to start with a girl. No girls? No girls today. Ladies, I miss you. You just busy because of Christmas? This is Matt in Athens. You're on WBAP. What's up, Matt?
Hey, nothing.
All right, you ready for a little Dead or Alive action?
I guess so.
Were you going to go to the Stock Show and Rodeo anyway?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, cool. Then let's see if we can help you out. Number 1, Julio Iglesias. He sang To All the Girls I've Loved Before with Willie Nelson and a bunch of other songs I don't know. Is he dead or alive?
He's dead.
Terrible start there, Matt in Athens. He's 82 years old, so that's reasonable for you to think so, but at least we tried. Thank you, sir.
All right.
David, Dallas, you're next up on Dead or Alive. You ready?
I'm ready.
Well, that's what Matt said. Number 2, Antonio Banderas, the actor Antonio Banderas from Desperado and a bunch of other stuff. Dead or alive?
He's alive.
65 years old, yes, sir. Juan Feliciano, the guy who sings Feliz Navidad. Dead or alive?
Yeah, he's dead.
80 years old. You are wrong, sir. Get off my show. No, thank you for calling in. I appreciate it, David. Brent, Lake Weatherford. You ready for Dead or Alive?
I'm ready. I thought I'd be a little further down the line because my Hispanic history is not real well, but let's go for it.
All right. I appreciate the optimism. Carlos Santana. He played at Woodstock, but is he still alive?
He plays a Les Paul guitar right-handed. Absolutely.
78 years old. Oh, look at you doubting yourself. Rita Moreno. She played Anita in West Side Story. Is she dead or alive?
Good grief. She's old. I think she's alive.
Oh, what a good guess. A movie that came out in 1961. One of the actresses is still alive. She's 94 years old. The political activist and workers' rights guy, Cesar Chavez. Plus, he built that road over there in East Dallas. Dead or alive?
I hope he's dead.
Died in 1993. He'd been dead. Colombian singer Shakira. Dead or alive?
Who?
Shakira. Hips Don't Lie. You don't know Hips Don't Lie? I'm on tonight, but hips don't lie. I'm starting to feel you, boy. That wasn't her. That was me singing.
I guess alive.
Yeah, she's same age as me, 48. She's short, too. She's like 4'10".
I've never heard of that lady.
You never heard of Shakira? You've heard like 4 of her songs. You just don't know it's her. Yeah.
I'm a 60s rock guy, okay?
Well, if you've been in a football stadium in the last 20 years, you've heard her.
Okay.
Eva Perón, the former First Lady of Argentina, dead or alive?
Dead.
Yeah, she died in 1953, just keeping you on your toes. The first Latina astronaut for NASA, her name's Ellen Ochoa, dead or alive?
Good grief. Alive.
Yes. And for extra credit, in case you want to know how old she is, 67. I did the thing.
Never heard of her either.
Yeah, I never did either. I was just trying to look up notable Latinas that weren't obvious. Finally, Raul Julia. He played the dad in the Addams Family in, I think it was like 1990. The one that MC Hammer was on the soundtrack for singing the Addams Family. That guy. Dead or alive?
Oh, gosh. Dead.
You did it. You did it. Those last four were all guesses, and you got them right. Brent, Lake, what?
I didn't know half of those.
Well, that's the beauty of Dead or Alive. It's a 50-50 shot on each one of these. There's only two answers, so you don't really have to know. And you did the right thing. You called in, you toughed it out, and you're going to get rewarded with the 2 tickets to the 2026 Fort Worth Stock Show and Pro Rodeo Tournament. And, of course, same-day general admission to the Stock Show grounds. I'm going to put you on hold. One of the Garretts in there will get you information, and we'll get you the tickets. And this has been another successful edition of Dead or Alive. Coming up next on the James Show, I got to stick up for my short brethren out there because the amount of jokes and memes and videos making fun of short guys, it's not funny anymore. I'll explain it next on the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, welcome to the James Show. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. Well, look, there's some, is Brent from Lake Weatherford still on the line from Dead or Alive? Is he okay? Okay, there he goes. Just checking. I'm concerned about some of my short brethren out there. And this comes because maybe I just spend too much time online, but I think it's a trendy thing for women, especially when they're doing these man on the street interviews or when they're talking in these forums, to say, what are you looking for in a guy? And the common comeback to this now with this latest generation is he needs to be 6 foot and make six figures. Well, now you're down to like 3% of the population. So over 6 feet and makes over six figures. Now, that's going to be a tough one because most of the people who make six figures don't immediately come out of high school or college making six figures. You eventually have to work your way up to six figures. And in the meantime, you're going through what could be your 20s and maybe into your 30s. And by the time you get to six figures, a lot of those guys have already been snatched up by some young lady who is deep and thoughtful enough to rate the guy based on his potential and not what he can pay for right now. But also the flip side to this isn't just like there's a fantasy, you know, or because I forgot what the number is, but it's incredibly small. The number of American men in the country of America who share a country with us, who are over 6 feet tall, make over 100,000 and aren't currently married. I believe it's like 1%. It's something ridiculously small. And then you got to think, well, some of those are guys who are over 6 feet tall and they make more than six figures and they're not married, but it's because they're a widower and they're 78 years old and their third wife just died of cancer, you know, so they're not really eligible either. And when you start to really narrow it down, if you put a microphone in front of a girl's face who's in her 20s, even 30s, and you want to get someone that's like in your age range, you're talking about almost zero. And so it's really weird to see this new trend pop up. It's almost like it's trendy to just bag on short guys. And so my concern comes from not because I'm short, but because I had a fear of being short when I was a kid. I was a little guy growing up. You wouldn't know it now. I'm 6'3", 230. I'm a big dude. But I was a really, really late bloomer. Like I grew 2 more inches after I got out of high school. I grew 2 inches in college. Anyway, I didn't even really start growing until my sophomore year of high school. I was 5'2" when I started high school. Now, here's what you don't know about me that added to my little paranoia about the situation. I have a grandfather who was 5'3", a little Hispanic fella. And so I was thinking, I am carrying around this dude's genes. And my dad's not especially tall either. He's like 5'8". And so of the 2 main men in my life, 5'8", 5'3", I was really worried about it. And when you go into high school at 5'2", you kind of get a taste of what short people are treated like. And I would be I'm horrified to learn that that's how adult men who are also shorter than average, are treated in adulthood. Because part of you thinks that, well, even if it's like this now, by the time you get out of high school, at least out of college, people will be more mature, or at least women will be more mature. Guys are still pretty immature. And, you know, they'll grow up and realize that that's not really important at all when it comes to picking a soulmate, is whether or not they're taller than you. Is there a less important metric on picking a soulmate on whether or not they're taller than you? Well, you may say, like, well, their race. Well, I don't know. Race has certain connotations that come with it too. You know, if you're a Christian person and you're dating someone from a non-Christian part of the world, you know, that could be an issue. So religion's very important. Money, kind of important. I get that, women. You want a guy who has resources who can give you the standard of living that you've always dreamed about, or at least be able to provide for some kids. And so then you can go through some of the other factors. Does he have a sense of humor? How does he treat you? Is he thoughtful? Does he remember your birthday? Does he text you every day? And is he polite? Does he hit you? All these things. And on the priority list, it might be 9,244, the man's height. But I challenge you, go online, look around, go, especially, man, TikTok's the worst. Reddit might be second worst. But the amount of women that are willing to go on and they will tell a man on the street in interviews terrible things about short guys. They'll make jokes on them. They'll even call them short kings, which they act like that's a nice thing, but it's a backhanded compliment. I got to tell you, if the second I started digging into this, it made me want to go read more and more and more. And I'm to the point now to where we should almost have like a civil rights movement for short men. No one picks on short women like this. Short women, what's wrong with them? Oh, she's cute, or she's a spinner, or, you know, it's almost a positive. But no one's defending these guys. If you make fun of fat people, there are people who will tell you you're a bad person. If you make fun of someone based on their race or their gender or anything else that's an immutable trait, someone will come down on you. If you make fun of someone with mental deficiencies, people will come down on you. Nobody is defending the short men. I will. I feel sorry for you guys. I see how you're treated. You're treated horribly, and no one comes to your defense. In fact, I think it's funny that to be treated subhuman. And if you think, James, you're taking this too far. Listen, I saw a statistic in several places. I don't know how they can confirm this. I'm not even sure if it's true. But it sounds true, and if it is, this should horrify everybody. The likelihood that a grown man will commit suicide goes down about 9% for every inch that he has. Isn't that crazy? So, yeah, I know this doesn't mean anything to you now because no one's brought it up to you before, and I'm not continuing a conversation that you've heard elsewhere. I'm starting a new conversation. I want you to be aware of it, and don't be these people. And also, we got an AI answer from the Somali community that's being accused of fraud in Minneapolis. Again, I'm just going to tell you in advance, this is AI. But oh my God, this is hilarious.
Hey guys, well, I'm the only Somali who speaks English. So they always call me to come talk to you white people and to tell you, please stop investigating us and let us do fraud in peace. Somalis are peaceful fraud community. We want to steal taxpayer money in peace without FBI jailing our ass. We even hired this liberal crazy white to come act like she supports us. Look at her. Look at that Karen face and the eyes. It's always the eyes. Anyway, please stop investigating us and let us steal your taxpayer money in peace.
I love AI. How did we ever live before AI? This is so great. But no, seriously, jokes aside, when it comes to the Somali fraud thing, we shouldn't let 254,000 bad Somalis ruin it for the other 30. It's just... Coming up next, Mark Levin on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP.